is NBA playoff weekend underrated? I am not the NBA savant that you are. Especially when the Mavs aren't involved, which they aren't. They haven't been for 2 years. And so I was not really. This wasn't on my radar when you brought this up. But starting Saturday, you've got 4 games on Saturday, and then you got 4 games on Sunday. So basically 8 games back to back to back to back, right? And your question was, is this first NBA playoff weekend an underrated sporting event? And I'm assuming you have an answer for us on that. But tell us your thoughts on that and why you think that way.
Yeah, this is one of a few, and really we're entering this time of year that I think just don't get. They're way better than the amount that we talk about them. Obviously the opening days of March Madness and the Super Bowl and the World Series, and these are all things that rightfully so are not underrated at all. They're either properly or maybe even overrated a little bit. But the NBA playoffs is a grind, man. It is. You earned it if you won it all, because you had to win 16 postseason games, and sometimes you're having to play upwards of 25 or more to get there. And so what I love about the NBA playoffs as a whole is that we're going to start in mid-April. We're going to have 2 months of postseason action. I mean, there is always something good to watch, and what's so great about it is you're going to start every night. What I love about the NBA playoffs, every night I come home from work, there's at least 2 playoff games on every single night. And the reason I say it's underrated is one of the beauties of NBA playoffs is it's a series, and you get to know each other. And I know baseball has that too, but in baseball, players aren't jostling, shoving, pushing, grabbing back and forth for potentially 7 games. It gets heated. But this opening, seriously, you can just plop down Saturday and watch if you're a basketball fan, and then you can do it again Sunday. There are some really good opening series every time. Even the first round, for some of the better teams, like Nuggets, Timberwolves, those 2 teams were in the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago, and they're meeting in the first round. There's a chance that the 76ers are going to play the Pistons in the first round. 76ers got a lot of playoff experience. The Pistons kind of new to the game here. How are they going to respond? Even some of the 1-8 matchups look really good. But yeah, I mean, if you like basketball, last night showed that NBA playoff basketball is very different than NBA regular season basketball. There's a whole different level of intensity, and you get to just watch that back to back to back to back each night for 2 months. It's good stuff.
Yeah. There's used to, and again, Mavs haven't been a factor for a couple of years, but you go into those grueling 7-game series, and it's almost like you've been playing forever in those things. You play 7 games potentially, and it feels like you've played 25 in those 7 games, because, as you said, there's constant back and forth, the physical play, the constant coaching moves and adjustments you make from game to game, and those things are about as fascinating as the games themselves if you follow coaching, right? I mean, and you kind of get into the intricacies of a game, and there's so much that goes into all of that in a short series or a 7-game series that really brings in everything that you see in the regular season and compacts it together.
Yeah.
And so I agree with that. I like that way better than I do just the one and done play-in games or a football playoff game, which it's you either win or you lose one game and you move on. There's something about a best 4 out of 7 that kind of captures our attention. But I agree. I mean, it's like me. It's like I had forgotten that those games were actually set up that way this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a mini NCAA tournament first round.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I mean, you get 4 games a day. You can sit in your couch all day long and watch it. And all, it's college football Saturday. It's NFL Sunday. It's like that all together, all in one. But yeah, great question that you asked there. You did ask me my top 3 and I kind of started thinking here, and we've already mentioned it, to me at least, as an underrated sporting opening day, if you will. That's the opening day of college baseball.
Yeah.
It's kind of at a weird time. It takes place in February, which, usually Major League spring training is, just started, and you're, right in the middle of basketball season. It's caught on a little bit more here recently. But I remember, 20 years ago, you didn't even know college baseball was happening until May, in a lot of places. But opening day is pretty special. And again, I've was able to experience that personally in my family for a while at DBU. And I mean, it was a special day to be there on opening day. Here's another one that I think, and this is not really an opening day, but I was thinking of the Kentucky Derby. And I know we get to see it on TV and all that kind of stuff, but have you ever been to Churchill Downs in Louisville?
No, I've been to horse racing in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's a pretty nice track there, but never to Churchill.
So a friend of mine, when I was at ETBU, I don't know, 25 years ago, we went to a public relations conference in Louisville, and they had 2 of these tour days that you could pick. Well, I can't remember what all of them were, but I mean, one of them on one day was you got to go to the Louisville Slugger Museum. And then the other one was on the other day, you got to go to Churchill Downs and tour, Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
And so that opened my eyes to not necessarily the horse racing part of it, which is exciting, right? It's the fastest or the most exciting 3 minutes that you watch or whatever it is. But just the history around that place, man. I mean, and you talk about one day a year where you go back in time, and it is a big deal. Like, it shuts down Louisville, Kentucky when the Kentucky Derby is. And you don't get to see that on the TV coverage. You don't get to see all that goes into that. And I was just really impressed by that. And in a way, I think that's probably a little bit underrated just because of the experience that you miss if you're not there. I do know some friends who have actually gone to the Kentucky Derby, and they have confirmed it is a once-in-a-lifetime event. That everyone should be able to go to that. And I don't bet on horses, or I don't bet at all.
Right.
But, I wouldn't mind going and experiencing that. I don't know that I would love to get all dressed up to do it, but anyway. And then here's another one. I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. And again, this is not an opening day per se, but it is an event that I think is underrated. Maybe not so much in our area because they happen, somewhat frequently, but that's Professional Bull Riders Rodeo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to a rodeo, Matt, or really the Professional Bull Riders, because it's all bull riding. It's not anything else. That is something that you, living here in East Texas, before you go back to Arkansas, wherever that is, if the Lord takes you back, you've got to go and see a rodeo when it comes through. One of the most exciting events I've ever been involved with. I got to cover a few. Marshall hosts one, or they used to host a PBR event. I guess they still do. I haven't really had my finger on that pulse lately, but when I was at the Marshall News Messenger, I would go cover this every single summer. And man, you talk about, how we're all kind of, talk about our eyes can't look away from the car crash, or your eyes can't look away from the gruesome injury that happens on a football field sometimes.
Yeah.
Your eyes cannot look away when a cowboy is riding a 2,000-pound animal that is looking to end his life. And there's that one moment in every ride where you think you're about to see it happen. And it's fascinating. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it is a piece of excitement that you will never forget. So put that on your bucket list. If you've not done it, go see a PBR bull rider competition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool stuff. I have heard great things about that. For me, the other two, in addition to this, you mentioned college baseball opening day. The first day of regionals in college baseball, 32 games on a Friday. The regionals are so crazy because you play this whole year of 3-game series, right? And then you get into the regional and all bets are off. You're pitching. You might have to play 4 or 5 games over that weekend, and suddenly you've got to figure out pitching and all the rest. And so, but games usually start at like 11 or maybe even 10 in the morning, and then there's some starting at 10 at night on the West Coast. I love regionals for baseball. And then the other one I'll give you, just once, I'd like to go to Flushing Meadows for a night U.S. Open tennis match. I don't know if you remember I think it was the early 90s, Jimmy Connor's last hurrah. He's like 39 years old. And I think he made maybe the quarterfinals or something. But it was the crowd, everything was so electric, especially when an American player is playing at night in New York in the U.S. Open tennis. That is something that I don't watch a ton of tennis. I do tune in, but if there's U.S. Open on a Thursday night and one of our American players is playing in it, man, I'm going to tune in because it's going to be live. It's going to be cool.
You know, it's cool that you said that because one of my 3 came down to that and the Sunday championship at the U.S. Open in the fall.
Yeah.
I do remember. I'm not into tennis as much as I used to be because, number one, I can't play tennis anymore physically, but I used to play it kind of recreationally. But you know, I'm down to pickleball now or ping pong. That's
Yes.
really ideal. But but yeah, there used to be back in what I would call the heyday. Of course, it was probably more because it was my heyday back in the late 80s, early 90s when you had the latter years of Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe, but they were bringing in this new wave of players like Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi and a couple of others. And there's some excitement on the women's side as well. Steffi Graf, Monica Seles, all of that good stuff. That was high impact theater and entertainment to watch that throughout the 2 weeks of the U.S. Open. And yeah, there is something special. It appears to be when they are sitting there in that stadium court at night and playing. So I agree with you on that one. That would be an interesting thing. Maybe you and I should just take off and go up there 1 week, and all our listeners out there can help us.
Yeah, it's always in the middle of football
donations.
season. There's nothing going on.
For us to go watch the U.S. Open.
That's right. That's right.